Welcome to Swolehammer. I'm Rafiq, and this is the Command Re-Swole, where we take a step back and talk about an issue, think about it, and discuss ways that it can improve our favorite game, that being Warhammer. Today's topic: should Warhammer limit unit spam? In Games Workshop games, the meta seems to form around a couple of lists. However, something that always seems prevalent is the concept of spamming a single powerful unit and calling your list a day. Unfortunately, this causes a cavalcade of problems for players and game developers alike. On the more obvious side of things, the competitive meta becomes staler more quickly. Using the same lists over and over may make playing against your opponent simpler to learn, but dealing with swarms for 4 to 6 months at a time seems nauseating. Piggybacking off that, it messes with the balancing of the games we play. While Games Workshop has worked to seem more aware of competitive scenes with the Meta Watch series, well-intentioned in its execution, it ultimately comes off as tone deaf. Looking at statistical data is very important. However, looking at the capabilities of the actual unit and the combos players are pulling off are equally valuable. For example, sure, on face value, Pusgoyle Blightlords are strong, and with their specific subfaction, they're even stronger. So they raise the points to make them less spammed. However, if limitations on the amount of units you could bring in the first place were already instituted, then we could have avoided the toxicity of said list and not having to change their point values in the first place. On top of which, trying to big brain a points increase when they might have not even needed it reaches the same conclusion with less effort and possible confusion. One more point I want to make is a market value one. Having the existence of spam lists warps the availability and prices of models, even if it doesn't apply to your game of choice. A personal example of mine, I'm a heavily focused Age of Sigmar player, and with the new-ish Tzeentch Battle Tome, I wanted to play some Flamers in my list. Unbeknownst to me, to acquire my additional units of Flamers, it was almost impossible without succumbing to scalper prices because 40k Flamers were apparently the new flavor of the month spam list. Without being able to spam units so heavily, it could save new and old players alike from a similar headache. The counterpoints. This would inhibit list building freedom. I understand players get defensive about any list building restrictions. However, in AOS, this year alone, we've encountered spam in the form of Pusgoyles, Big Stabbas, Bladegeist, Stormcast Drakes, and with Iron Blaster spam on the horizon as of this video, even with the already in place artillery eliminations that Age of Sigmar has, I find this an excuse for toxicity as opposed to promoting creativity. Another point, people will max spam the best units still, and lists won't change heavily. This one has a little bit of merit. But as I mentioned before, with many points changes focused on limiting spam anyway, there's at least an objective of improving the game and incentive to make different lists if you can't use the same ones over and over again. The solution, as mentioned many times already, just limit the number of the same models that can be used in your army. I don't have specific numbers for each of the games in question, but this is something that can be looked at for Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, and warcry very easily. Finally, it's worth pointing out that some factions like Flesh Eater Courts, Bone Splitters, Iron Jaws, etc. have very limited ranges. If you can't spam Gorguntas, options for filling the points in other ways are few and far between. That being said, that's more of a GW issue, as adding new models would fix this problem and would be likely universally well received anyway. So that's it. I just kind of wanted to have a forum to talk about specific topics, and Command Re-Swole will be it as of now. This topic came to mind because of just getting exhausted with a lot of the competitive meta, and honestly, the Ogre Maw Tribe Iron Blaster spam really pushed me over the edge for this one, as I was excited to play Underguts, and now it's kind of the mopey smooth brain option and doesn't really play how Ogres should play. That's just my personal opinion, but that's why I wanted to talk about this issue, because there's so many spam lists in all these different types of games, and maybe they should be looked at, because we know months from now it's just written on the wall, points will get adjusted, and we're in the same kind of hoopla over and over of just waiting for those points increase. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree, and I'll see you next time. As always, this is Rafik from Swolehammer. Stay swole.